Hey everyone, today begins the month of MacDuff's. Today's soap will be Almond Biscottie from MacDuff's Soap Company, and I'll be talking about Violet Jessop, who led a very low-key life, but also a very badass one at the same time, if you can believe it. Stay tuned. Good morning, everybody. How's it going? John Bonham here, Cape Cod Wet Shaving. All right, another shave. Gonna be a good one. So I've been toying with doing a brand of soap for an extended period of time, like a week. I decided in this case a month. The situation kind of presented itself when Sean announced it was his birthday and also the anniversary of the start of MacDuff's Soap. And so I went, you know what, that's a perfect opportunity. Any excuse to use his stuff for a month straight, I'm all for it. So I will be doing that. And I called it the month of MacDuff's. Very clever, right? He seemed to like it. So today I will be shaving with Almond Biscottie. I'm going to be going in alphabetical order with his soaps to make it easier on myself instead of having a checklist. I can just literally go down the line. I have 23 of his soaps. The only one I'm missing is Orange Dreamsicle, and I passed that one up like 3 times. I'm still kicking myself for it, so I won't be using that one, unfortunately. But Almond Biscottie is one of my favorites. Good one to start out with. Smells really good. Scent notes: coffee, almond, oh yeah, chocolate, tonka bean, vanilla, and allspice. And it's yummy. Speaking of coffee, today's coffee will be Pete's Dark Roast House Blend. And we do have a grinder. I don't use it as often as I would like, just because it's a pain to maintain and clean and keep up with to keep the coffee fresh, but it's good stuff. All right, matching splash with the Almond Biscottie, by the way. Pre-shave oil. Joe at Sarlard Soap, he made a good one, so I like using his. It's got something in my eye, sorry guys. The post-shave balm will be amaretto. Stick with the almond from Moon Soaps. So of course, this is one of my favorite. I think this is my favorite scent from Moon Soaps. Is the amaretto. It's a tough one. They're a good soap company too. My razor I will be using today, I haven't used in a long time, is the MagT Delta. Yeah, there we go. And the blades I'll be using are the King C Gillettes. Second use for the King C Gillette. It's been sitting there on my magnet strip for a while, and I'm using the Razor Rock Synthetic again. Sean makes a very soft soap, so you don't need anything crazy. You do a synthetic or a horsehair, you're good to go. I don't even consider using a boar brush, although I might, just to mix it up. But Sean, how you doing, buddy? Hope you had a good birthday this past weekend. If you've never tried his soaps, they're remarkable. I mean, out of 23, there's not a single one that I don't like. There are 2 I can think of off the top of my head that I did not think I would like, and that would be Birch Root and Sauvignon Blanc. I think I'm saying that right, the wine one. And Sean asked me, do you like wine? I said, no, I don't. I'm not a wine guy. He said, don't buy it. And I was like, at that point, dude, I have to. And I bought it, and I loved it. Because it smells like wine, but not like gross. I don't know. No offense to wine people. I'm not a big wine guy. And that's when I knew I'm a MacDuff's fan for life. I'm like, if you can pull off a scent that I think I would hate and like it, and I like it, that's amazing. Anywho, so I think I'm going to do that teaser in the beginning. Makes sense to me to announce the soap and the story I'm going to tell. The history story today is awesome. A lot of people might know this one. I did. I just forgot about it until I saw it. I also want to give a shout out to Scott, Shaving with Pegleg. Give him a view. He's simultaneously, man, the same day actually. He and I both started doing history stuff. He's going and doing a day in history for his shaves. When he does a shave, he'll find a day, something that happened on that day, and we'll talk about it. He's a great dude. Go check out his channel. I'll link it below. But it's just ironic. But I'm just gonna pick random stuff. And this one I picked because I was trying to rack my brain about stuff, and I remembered this one. So, all right, let's get started. I already got the pre-shave on. So today's story, oh, it smells so good, is a woman named Violet Jessop. Now, Violet Jessop, I'm also going to do a couple other things. First of all, bing, that's Violet. That's her in her stewardess uniform when she was working for the British Red Cross. Pretty cool, huh? Starting to mess with editing now. She is unique because she survived the sinking of, ready for this? The Olympic, the Titanic, and the Britannic. Pretty sweet. Hope that worked out too. You like what I did there? Very interesting lady. So she was born, let me start lathering here, October 2nd, 1887 in Argentina. She was not South American. She was Argentinian Irish, I believe, of Irish lineage, but from Argentina. I think one of her parents might have been from Argentina. She's a pretty lady. I'll get to that in a second. Look at that, already getting there. Don't want to push too hard. Oh, razor rock brush, I think I mentioned that. And then I'm using a little blue bowl I got at Walmart. If I see a bowl I like, I flip it over and see if it's microwave safe. That means it's okay for the hot water and stuff. In theory, anyways. But, so Violet was the first of 9 kids. 3 of them did not survive infancy, unfortunately. It's always sad. Them were the times, though, unfortunately. So she was 21, 19 or 20 when she applied to be a stewardess for the White Star Lines. She actually dressed down. She underdressed for her interview for the job. She was afraid that her attractiveness would dissuade people from hiring her. And here in a little bit later in the video, I have a photo I found of her. She was indeed a very good looking woman. It's a very pretty woman. So I'll put that photo on here. But I found that interesting. Now keep in mind too, this is beginning, early 1900s. Women's lib wasn't exactly much of a thing back then. So imagine going in for a job and you're flat out told you're too pretty. Holy hell. But she was, and she knew. So she underdressed. Oh man. Got the job at 19 or 20 years old. By the way, so the almond in this is predominant, right out of the tub into the lather. The coffee comes out beautifully when you start lathering your face with this. Now again, his stuff is soft. So you do not need to grind in this soap. You need to actually be careful that you lightly start getting the bristles of your brush and then go to your face or a bowl and play with it and see where you are and add water as needed. Right now, I'm good. I'm actually going to add a little bit more soap and I'm going to thicken. Sean is really good at taking his scent notes and mixing them in, and he does a work of art with his soaps. But they are very soft, and even now I still screw myself a little bit. When I did that live using BlackRock, man, I dove right in and I just completely saturated my Trafalgar, my T3, my Simpson there, my synthetic. It still smells like BlackRock. So, nothing wrong with that. Great soap. Hi, Gareth. Speaking of that, it's a collaboration that Gareth from Shave Supply and Sean at MacDuff's did. Anyway, so Violet got a job at White Star Line. She was a stewardess on the RMS Olympic in 1911. So September 20th of 1911, the Olympic, it's very kind of crazy how it started out. The Olympic was impacted by the HMS Hawk on September 20th, 1911. Sorry, guys. There were no fatalities, did not sink. But still, that's an incident with her first White Star Line ship. MAG-T Delta, second use of the King C. Gillette. A little nervous, but I've noticed I'm better with the open combs now that I have more face to shave. And this is a good razor I haven't used in a while. So, Olympic made it back to port, didn't sink, no fatalities at all. I think there were a couple of mild injuries. The HMS Hawk had a hell of a prow on it. And so it's a wonder the Olympic didn't sink. But so she was transferred to the RMS Titanic. Everyone knows the Titanic. In April 1912, at the age of 24. 4 days later, as we know, Titanic struck an iceberg and sank. Violet was put in lifeboat 16. As she was sitting in a lifeboat and was being filled, one of the officers of the Titanic came up to her and handed her an infant. Said, "Here, look after this infant." She did. She took the infant. Lifeboat was lowered. And she was one of the lifeboats rescued by the Carpathia, which was the ship that came and rescued the survivors of the Titanic. She made it back to New York. Give me a sec, I'm going to be careful of this mole. Oh. I know that was nasty, sorry. That was the old scab coming off. No blood or anything, it's just a little remnants of it, sorry. They made it back to New York. Violet says later in her memoirs that when she got there, she still had the baby was fine. A woman ran up to her, grabbed the baby out of her arms, was sobbing, didn't say a word, didn't say thank you, hey, how are you, glad you made it, blah, blah, blah. Took the baby, ran off. She never learned anything about the baby at that point. She eventually ended up sailing back to England. Making sure my sideburns are even, which I don't think they are. Whatever, I'll mess with that later. So, those are two White Star Line ships that had an incident occur. Sister ships, mind you. All three of these are sister ships. Two incidents with White Star ships. She made her way back to England. And then she was also, another thing about the Titanic that's interesting, she was also ordered by the officers, when she was ordered up on deck, she was told to make an example of how a woman and everyone should be behaving to English, specifically to non-English speaking passengers. Set the example to the non-English speakers. She said that herself in her memoirs. So that was interesting, I thought. I don't know how to take that. Is that offensive or not? I don't think so. So, during World War I, she was a stewardess for the British Red Cross. That's what that photo of her was that I put up here. She was put on board the Britannic November 21st, 1916. It was converted into a hospital ship for the war. The famous photo of it is with a white hull with the crosses on it. Unmistakable marks for a hospital vessel. So there was a huge unknown explosion. November 21st, November 21st, 1916. At the time, no one knew what it was, but it was detrimental. It was horrible. So horrible, in fact, that the Britannic sank in 55 minutes. So this time, Mrs. Jessop almost died. The lifeboat she was in, along with several other ones, unfortunately, were being sucked into the propellers while the ship was sinking. And she actually had to jump from her lifeboat. And she later said that she was pulled to the ship and was so close that she actually slammed her head into the hull of the ship. Hard enough, as it turns out later, a doctor told her that she had fractured her skull, but she lived. That sucks. So real quick about this soap. Still going strong. I haven't reloaded in the jar. Gonna add a tiny bit more water. Kind of mix it up a little. There we go. That coffee smell is predominant. It's going to sit there and stay, along with the other stuff. The vanilla's there. I mean, you can smell it. The tonka a little bit you can smell. But that coffee is just wonderful. And it's like not like a black coffee. It's like a creamy, delicious coffee. It's very nice. Oh, I had a little streak there. I nicked myself. I don't see where. Huh? Whoopsie. Oh well. Alright. So. She returned to the White Star Lines in 1920. Then she became employed with the Red Star Lines. At this point, by the way, history started calling her Queen of the White Star Lines, I think. And also Violet the Unsinkable, which I kind of like, but it reminds me of the unsinkable Molly Brown from the Titanic. She ended up sailing around the world twice with the Red Star Lines on the SS Belgenland, which is a cruise ship for the Red Star Lines. Nothing happened to her. She actually enjoyed a much-deserved respite from calamity. But she did that, and she finally retired I believe in the 50s, from sailing. And she ended up buying a little cottage in England. Pardon the water. In Suffolk, England, I believe. And while she was living in this cottage, she got a random call one night. During a stormy evening, she got a random phone call. And the person on the the woman on the other end of this phone said, "Hey, are you Violet Jessop?" She said, "Yes, I am." She said, "Are you the Violet Jessop that rescued a baby on the Titanic?" She said, "Yes, I am." And the woman on the other end of the line said, "Well, I was that baby." And she hung up. She said, "I wanted you to know I'm okay." And she hung up. And that was it. She never met her. She ended up going to try to find out who it was. It was sorry, it was a man. It wasn't a woman. It was a man named Assad Thomas. Sorry. I thought it was a woman. It was a man named Assad Thomas that called her. And she ended up finding out his name by going and talking to a woman and who had the records of the Titanic, and the only infant that was in her lifeboat was the one that she had. And that's how she was able to find out the name of the baby. It was very odd that they would call her and just say, "Hey, I'm okay," and that's it, and not want to meet, but whatever. What you gonna do? So she ended up living in this cottage the rest of her life. That's the weirdest thing. She had this huge title to her, the only woman to survive the 3 sister ships, all 3 of which had something bad happen to them. And she died peacefully in a cottage. And she died May 5th, 1971. So she was briefly married only once in her life. One time. And she was proposed to on at least 3 separate occasions, once by a first-class passenger. And here's that photo I promised. She's a good-looking lady, man. I found that photo. I'm like, wow, she was pretty. Give me a sec. Let me rinse this off. I'll be right back. Alrighty. I have returned. Man. So, that was a little low-key. There's unfortunately not a lot more info than what I mentioned on here, online, that I could find about her. Her memoirs only came to light in 1996, if you can believe that. That's crazy. So she did her memoirs and didn't even really put them out there, I guess. And when they say came to light, I don't know if they were discovered or she had done them and just no one realized how incredible her story was until later. But I think that's pretty nuts, though. Make sure I mix that up enough. Yes, I did. Oops. I dropped some. What a waste. I just clapped my hands together and squirted it down. So I think that's very interesting. I mean, that's a hell of a moniker to have. She seemed like a very, you know, I mean, to be a woman in those times alone, you had to be a hard ass. But she was a stewardess and helped people on 4 separate ships. 3 of which had something bad happen to them. And then, you know, she kept going no matter what. Even after she got her head injury, she still went and did her thing. The only other stuff that I could find was her mother was also a stewardess and would leave a lot. And Violet would have to look after her siblings, especially her youngest sister. And then her mother passed away when she was young, so she followed in her footsteps, which is pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. History's full of stuff like that. I got a whole bunch of stuff that I want to mention on here. one thing I'm worried about is a lot of what I have and a lot of what I'm a fan of is World War II stuff. So I'll be talking about Nazis and swastikas, and so I'm going to purposely mention it in this video to see if I get flagged. Hopefully I don't. And if I do, I'll appeal it. But there's going to be a lot of World War II stuff. It's just one of my favorites, but I'm going to do all kinds of different stuff. One of the things I want to mention on here is the invasion of Korea by the United States in 1871. Didn't expect that, did you? Yes, there was a different invasion of Korea by the United States. So, stuff like that, you know. All right, let me throw this balm on. So, back to the soap. I did okay. I nicked myself a couple of times. That's an aggressive razor, which is whatever. I think I need to shake this up more. Not extremely aggressive. Not as aggressive as the 1920s Gillette I have. That thing, I could go out back and cut some limbs off my trees with that sucker. But the Mag T, it's a really good razor. I like it a lot. So, there we go. Oh, their balm's so good. I like it a lot. My boy's doing something they're not supposed to. I always thought there was a different consistency with this stuff, but oh well. All right, sorry. Got off focus there. So, the month of MacDuff's thing, I'm very excited about that. So, I'm not going to do a video for everyone. I don't want to promise that, and then I know I might keep up with it a little bit, and then just my week will, I can't guarantee it. My crap here is so hectic with the kids home, and I know it sounds silly. It's kept me from doing a couple other things. And I love the videos and I love the shave. But, you know, my kids, they want to do stuff. So I try really hard to put them first, and then play comes second. You know, you guys know how it is. So, oh, it smells so good. I love almond stuff, man. I got to finish my Cella collection so I can use that. I want to get the splash and balm and all that pre-shave for the red and the green. All I have is the soap. So, anywho, I hope you enjoyed the history lesson. Not really lesson, the history talking. But I'm going to experiment and see, you know, I got to be careful with photos, make sure I don't get anything copywritten. But I hope you like that I'm actually incorporating stuff into it. It's a lot of fun actually messing with this stuff. I love doing the research. My history teachers, I have like 3 history teachers in school that just like will wake up in a cold sweat and they won't know why. And that's because I just said out loud that I love history. Because I gave them a hard time in school, boy. Anywho, so my next soap is, I think it's Autumn Cabin, which I really kind of, all of them I want to be able to use on camera, but hey, I'll use it and love it. And I'll be using it, you know, it's coming right around the corner, believe it or not. And then, oh, forgot the shirt. I bought this in high school. Actually, my dad got it for me. I've had this since high school. This is from Mardi Gras. I think in like 1997 or 98. So, old shirt. If anyone saw the voodoo, they're probably wondering. Anywho, all right, guys, I really appreciate y'all watching. I'm gonna keep doing this, plugging along. Let me get used to it. I feel like I gotta balance out what I'm talking about a little better, not making it as long, but I'll get there. Appreciate anyone who watched. If you want to go look up Violet Jessop, it's Jessop. It's very interesting if you go look her up on Wikipedia or anywhere online. It looks like she went out of her way to have a very quiet life, and she did one of the most remarkable things. And she was a woman in the early 1900s, man. All of that's hard, so she must have been a badass. I would have loved to meet her. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, guys. Thank you very much. I don't say this very often, but I will say, if you like it, maybe spread the word, tell people, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, check me out on Instagram too. Most of you already know anyways, but it's Cape Cod Wet Shaving on Instagram. If you like the channel, appreciate it. Shoot me a comment. I always try to answer and thank everyone who says something. So, all right, guys, till next time, enjoy. Have a good rest of the summer, and hope you enjoy the MacDuff's soaps I'll be using and the history stuff. Take care. Till next time. Happy shaving, everyone.